is dust your bench again, and you want to turn this out. And again, you want to keep it smooth side down. Do your best to get it turned out as cleanly as possible. And then from here, you're going to divide it in half. We're going to do 2 loaves. So I don't have a scale in front of me, but I'm just going to assume that's probably pretty close. You guys tomorrow will weigh your doughs out. But anytime you're cutting dough, when we talk about efficiency, cut into squares. Don't just randomly cut off a chunk. But if you know you're getting 2 baguettes out of this, try to cut as close to the middle as possible, realizing that the center is going to be fatter than the edges. So if I was cutting this into 3, that center strip would probably be skinnier than the 2 edges because it slopes down. And then weigh them from here. So what we're looking for is that it's fairly close in weight, and they're going to be, I think, about 13 and a half ounces a piece. If one is 13.5 and one is 13.4, that's fine. One's 13.6, 13.4, that's fine. We want something fairly close though, because it's going to affect how quickly it proofs, how quickly it bakes. So ideally they're all about the same size. But don't have a little chunk of dough off to the side because these were exactly at whatever the recipe said. Divide it evenly so you're using all your dough. Okay, and then square pre-shape. What we're going to do is,
How do you, if you cut them in half and are uneven, how would you mix in little pieces?
good question. So say this one, I'll just, for the sake of demo, I think this one may be a little heavier. Say it was a little bit off and I need to put some on the other one. The best way to do this is to try to put it as evenly as possible on your other dough. Actually, I'm going to switch that around. So I cut a little strip because it's easier to lay on the dough. If you have little chunks, that's fine. It always goes in the center so that as you're doing your pre-shape, you can tuck them in basically behind. But you don't want just random chunks. Like, don't cut a quarter off. Keep it square. Try to keep the shape neat. And then the pre-shape is going to be folded in this way. So by laying it long ways, it's going to align with the shape. It's not going to make one side really thick, one side thin. The idea is to try to keep it as even as possible. So you can see all this air inside my dough. For a baguette, because we want a really open crumb inside, we want to have it that chewy, kind of open texture, we want to keep most of this air in. When we make the sandwich bread, we're going to pat this out so there's not a lot of holes, because you don't want a sandwich bread with tons of holes in it. But for this dough, we do. So we're going to be really gentle. I barely have patted this down at all. This is all that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do my pre-shape. So I'm going to fold it in 1/3 and just kind of tuck it in, and then fold it again. And I'll show this to you so that it's facing out. As I fold it over, I like to push back a teeny bit, and I'm just catching the very edge of the dough so it slightly seals it. So I'll show that to you again. Again, I'm doing this backwards, you do it towards you. But I fold it over once and just gently tuck it just so it sticks, nothing big. And then fold it over again. And instead of just leaving it like this, because it's probably going to come undone, I like to just catch the very tip of the dough and roll back a little bit. And that'll help to catch the seal. It doesn't need to be perfect. Again, the more gentle you are with this process, the more open the crumb's going to stay inside, the easier it is to do your final shaping. Because we're going to roll these out to the length of a full sheet pan. So if you're handling it a lot now, it's going to take longer for it to relax later. So you want to be pretty gentle with your shaping. And again, this is just a general guide. So if it's not perfect, it doesn't mean that your final baguettes won't look good. I like to keep them seam side up at this point because if the seams